plug young boy. He exits. Cops eventually catch up to him. He gets arrested. He says all the things he's supposed to say. Hey, look, I warned him. I told him not to put his hands on me. Yada, yada, yada. Is he okay? Is he okay? Which also shows that there was no intent to actually murder him. So well done, young man. He said all of the proper things he needed to say to the police to set the stand your ground defense. So I commend him on that. Now, what the news and what all these suspected white supremacists have been saying is a whole nother ball game. And we've seen it a million times, right? We've seen the girl slapping and punching whatever, and the guy pushes her off or whatever, and all of a sudden all the Captain Save-A-Hos come in and hey man, that's a woman. That's a woman. That's a woman. We've seen it a million times. Anytime a black man tries to defend himself, that's when we get problems. Salute, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Simple Shit TV. I'm your host, Alvin Holden, also known as Project 8020. I'm here with my brother, Broken Blade. What's up, sir? How are you?
What's up, man? I'm good.
Good. This one hurts a little bit, bro. Well, for real quick, before we get into it, salute to everybody in the chat, man. Mr. 43TX was popping. Everybody that's up in here early was popping. To all of those that are going to catch us on the replay, salute to you also. Salute. Thank you so much. Can I say I have been almost avoiding this story? Is that a that might be a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Because the more I listen to, the more angry I get for multiple different reasons. But before we get into any of the details, bro, what just right off the top, is there anything about this that sticks out to you? You know, in particular, or do you want me to lay the groundwork real quick first?
Oh, you can lay the groundwork.
A teenager accused of stabbing another student athlete at a track meet.
What we'll do is we'll just go on. We'll just run this through this news article really quickly, and then through the news real quick, and then we'll circle back.
Told officers as he was being taken into custody that he did it in self-defense.
Austin Metcalf was killed this week at that Frisco track meet. New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old KARMelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now live with the latest. Alex.
Hey guys, and in that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. The suspect then reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer who detained him that he had stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf family after 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11.
Okay. Actually, you know what? Let me just jump in. This image here of the young man, our KARMelo Anthony here on the bottom, I didn't have to look too hard to find a nice picture of him, but I did find a nice picture of him, like a graduation picture. That's this photo here. Yeah. All the other ones, though, that they have all over the internet are mugshots. And then all of the images of this young man, it's always like he's playing football or smiling or this, that, or the other thing. They make him, the way this story has been presented is so nasty. Anyways, altercation in the bleachers. I don't know if you guys know much about sports or not, or track and field, usually what'll happen is track and field, they'll have a tent like this, they'll set it up on the bleachers, and the bleachers are generally not like, they're still open to the public. So any Joe Schmo can walk up and sit next to your stuff. Now, usually what happens is that everybody kind of knows where everybody is and everybody puts their stuff together or whatever, and everyone kind of watches each other's stuff. So this scene isn't foreign to me. I absolutely can understand what happened here. Absolutely. Now, what happens is that when you've got all of your stuff out on these bleachers where any Joe Schmo can walk up and down, you do feel like you need to chicken hawk and you need to like watch your area. All right. Now, I totally understand that part. Now, mix over the top the fact that whenever there's a black person around, everyone's ears perk up and they're always watching that one because they assume that if something comes up missing, then it's probably them or us. Like they're trying to leave that bullshit out of this whole problem. Because what happens is these kids, I'm sure, had a certain level of entitlement and thought that they could just absolutely move this kid out of the way. And he gave the dude proper warning, said, "Hey, don't you dare put your hands on me. F around and find out." He did, and he did.
The state of Texas, castle law, stand your ground.
So he plug young boy. He exits. Cops eventually catch up to him. He gets arrested. He says all the things he's supposed to say. Hey, look, I warned him. I told him not to put his hands on me. Yada, yada, yada. Is he okay? Is he okay? Which also shows that there was no intent to actually murder him. So well done, young man. He said all of the proper things he needed to say to the police to set the stand your ground defense. So I commend him on that. Now, what the news and what all these suspected white supremacists have been saying is a whole nother ball game. What are your thoughts, Broken Blade?
I do feel bad for the family. That sucks. That's one of the worst things a person can go through is losing their child.
Yeah,
I get that. My frustration is not so much even with the family, like you said, it's the media, how they're going about presenting this story.
yeah.
Because of course I got to think back on George Zimmerman, hell, and Tamir Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Kid playing with a toy gun. Yeah, he should have been in school. Cop didn't even take the moment to say freeze.
No.
Heard gun, he knew what time it was. Roll up, pop, pop. Trayvon Martin. Was he 16?
I feel like he was younger than that.
Younger.
I could be wrong.
Look it up.
I just know that if the situation were reversed, and we all know if the situation were reversed, right? And we got it in our heads that we were gonna go move some non-melanated kid off the block, and he pushes back, we would be thugs and bullies and whatever, right? And he would have absolutely been well within his rights to defend himself.
Absolutely. I just looked up 17.
17. Okay, I was wrong. Yeah.
Walking home, gets accosted by somebody doing neighborhood watch because he felt threatened and believes he was too weak. Which, if you're too weak, why the fuck are you doing neighborhood watch? Why didn't you call the police? But
he did call the police. Didn't he call the police? Zimmerman, right?
Yeah.
He did call the police. They told him not to follow.
I forgot about that fact.
Yeah, he called the police. And because he was basically stalking the kid while he was doing it. And then when they told him, don't leave him alone, there's someone on the way, don't, get too close or whatever. And then, dude was like, bro, you're following me. Like, it's only a problem when we defend ourselves. Broken Blade, I don't really know. I can play this. I know Tariq Nasheed had something to say, so let me. I wanted to play a clip from what he said earlier. Um, one example that I brought up earlier today that kind of has really stuck in my head. Do you remember when that woman was pulling that dude's braids in the dollar store? His dreads, and she was yanking him around the store for like a good 2 or 3, 4 minutes. They finally get down to the ground. He's still kind of trying to get himself loose. She won't let him go. And the second he mounted her, meaning like took a offensive position instead of being on a defensive, the second he took some sort of ownership of the situation, was like, okay, since all of you people standing around with your cameras in your hand, no one's going to pull this off. No employee was going to pull her off. No manager was going to pull her off. No innocent bystander was going to pull her off. He decided that he was going to take action into his own hands. He basically slipped around and mounted her so he can get it. So she still had a handful of hair. And it wasn't until he mounted her did everybody rush in to try to break it up. And I'm like, y'all watch this woman drag this guy around the store for 3 or 4 minutes, handful of hair, for no reason at all, just because she felt like it, because she had a bad day. And the second he decides that he wants to assert himself to get himself loose, now everybody rushes in. And we've seen it a million times, right? We've seen the girl slapping and punching whatever, and the guy pushes her off or whatever, and all of a sudden all the Captain Save-A-Hos come in and hey man, that's a woman. We've seen it a million times. Anytime a black man tries to defend himself, that's when we get problems. It's like we're not allowed to defend ourselves. Like we're just this constant punching bag for everybody. It's weird.
Man, that's
It's weird.
Like one of my videos, bro, like animals have the ability to run. They have quills, fangs, teeth, speed, these different things to avoid getting caught by predators. Plants have thorns, poison to protect themselves, because all living things want to continue to fucking live. It's cool with everybody else wants to live. It always seems to be a problem with us, though.
It's a trip, and people try to pretend like they can't see it. It's shocking. It really is shocking. And I guess I had this conversation because I was talking to one of my clients earlier today, and it's like it's like it's like baked into the cake. Like it's like they don't even. It's like you're not supposed to defend yourself. Like when you're the aggressor, then you're a thug, you're a this, you're a that. What did Mr. 43TX say? So you're a super predator, right? But I mean the exact same situation, flip-flopped, and it's a completely different everything. That's wild, man. That's wild. Let's see what Tariq got to say real fast. Fair use.
A lot of the white supremacists are upset.
Sorry. He said a lot of these white supremacists are upset
because we're not letting them control the narrative. We're not letting them control the narrative. We're telling it like it is. Now, what happened was this white student confronted this black student, put his hands on him, allegedly grabbed him, allegedly grabbed his bag. And then the kid, not wanting to be bullied, he took out a knife out of his backpack, jugged the assailant once, and then he exited the premises. And then he got arrested, and they charged him, I think, with first-degree murder, which I don't know how's that first-degree murder. It wasn't premeditated. first degree murder is usually premeditated.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be manslaughter, if anything. But let's look at this thing.
Go ahead, Brooke.
Also, by Texas law, I've have a security card, level 2 security, and recently did a LTC class. By law, the lethal force is deemed legal when you prove that the amount of force used was enough to neutralize the attack. Nothing more. It is clearly one stab that's neutralizing the attack.
You're in my brain. You're in my brain. Absolutely. Very astute. I believe that's going to come up. That's going to come up because it wasn't, he only stuck him once. He wasn't trying to overdo
like
it. He wasn't.
30 times, okay, yeah, like, and then generally, one could argue, like, why weren't fists enough?
He wasn't by himself. This guy had his twin with him. There was other people around.
Okay, yeah, they were breaking it up. Then, like, where they tried to get in on this.
I imagine, bro, they were ganging. We know how this goes. Pretty white boy, come on, man. Like, we know how this goes. Nerdy black kid that they think they can just push around, and we know how this goes. We've all been in high school. We know how this goes. They just weren't expecting him to stand up for himself. Whoops. Definition of F around and find out.
Yeah.
And he warned them. He said, don't you put your hands on me. He did everything that he
Brown State.
Bro, he did everything that he could have done to he's like, yo, don't touch me. Don't put your hands on me. You're going to find out.
Yeah.
He found out. He warned him. He only got stuck in once. He left. Look, man, if this dude don't walk for this, then, I mean, we already know what it is, but like, I really hope that this ends up the way we need it to end up. And the messed up part about this too is that having a young man already engaging with the police at this level puts him at a disadvantage later on, regardless of whether he's a good kid or not. It's like the crazy study is like you're 60% more likely to get rearrested if you've been in contact with the police or arrested before by your senior year. So I think the likelihood of him being arrested again is like 60%. Just being arrested, coming in contact with the police in high school, 60%, you're more likely to be arrested again. So we already know what this is. But the crazy part is all of these freaking white folks jumping off the ledge. And this is the part that gets me, Broken Blade. Look, I know I intentionally went and I'm flying the Republican flag, more of and for me personally, like I said before, and I've mentioned this to you, obviously, Broken Blade, but this is for the audience, that my registering as a Republican was a middle finger to the Democrats. I wanted to be counted as a person that left a black person that left the Democrat Party and went to the Republican Party and participate in the process in the civic process as a Republican, because Democrats are bullshit. And I wanted that to be known. That's my position. These kinds of situations make it difficult because people that I wanted to respect, people that I wanted to be able to get behind and support, have said some pretty ugly things concerning this case, the Daniel Penny case. And even though I'm not like George Floyd, you know what I'm saying? Like he should still be alive for one. But like, I'm like, not only George Floyd, but like all of these other senseless deletions need to be, I don't want to say celebrated, but need to be respected.
Yeah.
They've made it so hard to stay. That's kind of why it kind of locked me up a little bit, because I'm like, man, because because the left, when stuff like this happens, the left just gets quiet. They're just like, doesn't fit the narrative. They're like, doesn't fit the narrative. They're just suppress that shit. But Republicans can't help themselves. Yep, right. Them bushes. Where them bushes at? But Republicans can't help themselves, because anytime there is something that is in fact racially motivated, they try to double down on the racism. Yeah. And it's like, yo, whenever you guys have an opportunity to call a ball and a strike, you guys always do the wrong thing. And that's what makes it hard for a person like me to stand on this side. Because I'm like, yo, when the rubber meets the road, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. And I guess maybe the benefit to that is that they're consistent and predictable in that way.
Yeah.
So we all know what we're always going to get. But again, there are people that I really wanted to respect, and I really hoped that we would be able to have a functioning political relationship. And it's situations like this that really, like, we have no friends, guys. Just to let you know, we have no friends. We're out here rolling solo. Shout out to Jerome Payne. What's up, bro? Salute. I mean, Broken Blade, like, and we got some black folks out here tap dancing too. I guess Eddie Griffin was like, well, what happened to fisticuffs, and why do you have to stab them, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just and I was like, yo, and these black folks don't get it. It's like, yo, you're giving these people space to talk. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. Yeah, Eddie Griffin was like, why do you have to stab them? Why do you have these weapons? Why can't they just go fisticuffs? Now, like I said, the bro was by himself, seemed like.
And you know how that goes, Eddie. If he did think about this,
he would have got jumped. He would have gotten jumped. He would have gotten jumped.
One fist out of nowhere, just stomped out.
Yeah. But it bums me out that came from Eddie Griffin. I thought he was like I always thought he was a real one, but that was the softest shit I ever heard. Like the most uninformed take I've ever heard. Like the way that it was almost trivial, and he was basically blaming this young man for what he's like. Look, he protected himself. Yo, man, look.
Stand your ground state.
Guess what, man? Look. Guys, look, what do they say? Dead men tell no tales. You get in a situation, man. You don't stop until somebody stops moving. I'm gonna say it like that. You don't stop until somebody stops moving. That's how you should handle conflict. If you get to the point to where you're in public and there is an altercation and you got to do something and your life is in danger, you don't stop until the other person stops.
Absolutely.
Until they are completely disabled. Whatever that looks like.
People don't get it twisted. There's an issue. There's a difference between actual self-defense and ego shit. Absolutely.
Neutralize the threat. The threat.
And ego shit will walk away from, like, if it's truly an imminent, life is in imminent danger.
Yeah.
Yeah, the smart move.
Get away if you can first.
Yeah.
Get away if you can, especially if you're outnumbered. Get away if you can. But if you look around and conflict is inevitable, you might as well do it on your terms. That's how I see it. So, we're talking about it one day on Mr. Sperling's broadcast. We're talking like if you had a girl with you and you encounter a bunch of guys or whatever, and it's like, look, I'm going to talk my way out of it. I'm going to joke my way out of it as best I can, out of a situation. But the second I realize that, it's on and popping, like I'm gonna go first. Like I might not wait. Especially if I'm outnumbered. Anyways, there will be an update to this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
As of right now, he's on $1 million bond, which I think is bullshucks. Because it's so high profile. You know, it is really interesting, man. Whenever one of us knocks one of them off, they feel away. Like we're not supposed to be able to defend ourselves in that way. They don't like that.
Where's Jasmine Crockett's loudmouth ass here's an easy one
Lay up.
to get loud about.
Lay up. You know what, man? I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said that. If there were a black person on the Republican side, and he at least would step up, he or she. I don't think there's any female Republicans.
Al Green.
Where is he? Where is he? You see, like, where are all these people when something real happens? They're nowhere to be found.
Nowhere.
That's how we know they're full of shit. Excuse my language, but like that's how we know they're full of shit. Because when real things happen, where there is an obvious racial tinge or element, it's like they're quiet crickets. Man, look, you want to know how bullshit the NAACP was? Go look and see how few black people are on the NAACP's website or Twitter. You don't have to, but I'm just saying, like, if you in your free time, I was looking the other day because I've been trying to kind of go around and be like, yo, what is it? What are these NAACP? Because you would think that they would be on the small hat situation running behind the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You would think.
Yeah.
You would think that they would be in there trying to square some of that up, but none of it. I can tell you what's really interesting, that no one has come forward with any video. If it was in the wrong, there'd be dozens of phone videos in the public. I agree 110%, right? When we're doing wrong, I say it all the time, Broken Blade, when we're doing wrong, committing crimes, they got it in 4K, 3 different angles, the ring across the street, the CCTV from the county. They got the whole thing, the whole crime, everything, right? We watched that deletion on the freeway, that rapper that they ran down on the freeway. There's the dash cam from the truck that was behind the car. There was like cameras up on the telephone or on the posts. Like there was 5 different camera angles that happened in the middle of a freeway. They stopped in the middle of a freeway and they got. So you're telling me that in the stands at a track meet, nobody got the altercation on video? Got it. Bet. All right then. All right then. Like I said, man, my issue is that, you know, it's cool if you do it. It's a problem if I do it.
Facts.
You know, and all he was really doing was defending himself, and was very clear about it. I mean, so clear that I bet if they could have hid those facts, they would have hid those facts. But what he told the police and what was said before he got into the was so clear that they can't even get around it. He's like, no, he absolutely warned them before. He's like, don't put your hands on me. Warning, you're gonna F around and find out. Warning, do not touch me. Other kid was the aggressor, got touched. Showed it, did show he was trying to protect himself, but was showing that he didn't want to actually, you know, hurt the kid eternally. But he did want to get away.
Well, enough force to neutralize the attack.
Anyways, man, this is wild, bro. This is wild.
Unfortunately, lethal, but again, if it's one stab, it was one strike.
Yeah. Why is dead kid's father talking about it's not a racial thing? Well, yeah, of course. We know what time it is. We know what time it is. And these kids are getting. I think these kids are getting worse. Like everyone's trying to talk about there's no racism, there's no color, or whatever. These kids have said some. I've heard and seen some kids doing some treacherous things. full blown fried chicken and watermelon, monkeys, bananas, all the stuff. Like, bro, who was it? One of the fighters, Devin Haney, and a couple of these guys, Teofimo Lopez sent a bunch of bananas to his hotel room before a fight. In boxing, the whole monkey banana thing is a very common trope, very common. And somehow, because these black folks don't want to mess up their meal ticket, they don't do what they ought to do.
Yeah.
For real. And they probably take a lot more of that than they really should. Terrence Crawford walked up on Teofimo and was like, so what was up with that banana shit? I'm right here. Tell me, he didn't send him to me, but he's like, yo, but I didn't like, what, like Terrence Crawford made him mumble, had him stuttering, trying to make excuses for why he did it. But the second Terrence Crawford walked away, he started talking again. So like, yo, man, some of these and again, these Africans allow this bad behavior. So then when they come across one of us and talk to us, like, they think that they can get some of this shit off. And they're like, oh, you thought I was one of those blacks. Yeah, see, I'm one of these blacks, not one of those blacks. And one of these blacks, poke first and ask questions later.
You make me